Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing today? I have something special for you. I think you've seen it already. I wanted to hide it. By the way, my name is Mary Ngwebong Ngu, and I have a very exciting story to tell you. I never found this out throughout all of my studies and all of my travels, but I stumbled on something which is really intriguing, very interesting. Guess what is this orange we're talking about today? And I'd like to ask you, guess how old is the tree from which I got this orange? I'm going to tell you. You know, the thing is, have you ever realized that of all the history we learned in school, which we, coming from Africa, we learned about the European history mostly, they focused on their conquest, on the kings and the queens, their reign, and all of the politics that went around their reign. And they told us about their imperialistic conquest here and there and the wars that they fought. And so the names come up. I don't need to call them here. You know all of them, right? But the thing that they never told us, for a continent that was a virgin continent that needed a lot of construction and all of that, is how these kings came about constructing their own societies. They never told us about their foods, what they ate, how they solved the basic human problems in their society. They only told us about their conquest and things like that. You know how the Bible says, Paul says in the book of Corinthians, I think is it First or Second Corinthians 2? He says that by beholding, you become changed. A society that only talks about wars, about conquest, about this and that. What do you think? So, let me leave that apart, but it's part of what I want to tell you. This orange that I have in my hand, it's a citrus fruit. If you don't know that it's an orange, at least we all agree that it's a citrus fruit. This orange, you know that oranges grow in the tropics, all right? But can you believe that this orange was grown in a country that has winter in it? They have only 2 seasons. They have the dry season, and no, they have 4 seasons actually. Sorry about that. We of the tropics have only 2 seasons, and this orange was grown in a country that has winter as one of its seasons. Ask me the question, how did it happen? During the reign of Louis XIV, 14 for the number 14, Louis the 14th, who was the king of France, whose reign began in 1643, and he stayed in power for 72 years. He was popularly known as Roi Soleil because the sun was the emblem of his rule. One of the things he did that I just found out was that he found out that the orange is a very, very good fruit for the human body. And you and I, we know all the benefits of the orange, right? We even know that it's good for the eyes. But beyond all of that, and before all of that, it's a delicious fruit. This is something that people take for breakfast in European countries, in Europe, in the Western world, because it really boosts their energy. But okay, this is not a health talk. This is a history lesson here that I'm sharing with you. Some secrets that I'm sharing with you. So, when he found out how important the orange was to the human diet, he said, my goodness, shall we only wait to export these things, to import these things from the tropics and all of that? Let me say something to you, by the way. Those kings, nobody ever told you about how when they went to those countries, in different countries where they subjected people to slavery or whatever, or conquest, or during their expeditions, if they saw a good flower, if they saw a good tree, they brought it back. They never told you how they constructed their palaces and all that they went through so that you can learn from that to also do yours. Now, we got this, and I'm sharing it with you. He found out the importance of the orange fruit. So he said, you know what? I can't just wait to go abroad to eat this. I can't wait for it to be imported into the country. Let's try to plant it. So what did he do? He spread out the news. He was the example for everybody in the castle What did they do? They built some really beautiful houses, and they brought in this orange, the little oranges from wherever they got them, a variety of oranges. I picked this one up from a palace in a country in Europe that has winter. And during that time in Europe, it was very, very fashionable to have the orange in your garden if you could afford it. So how did they do it? How did those trees survive the winter? What they did was they constructed houses, and they built, they constructed pot, no, not pots, because I mean pot, P-O-T, we know what it is, but they were flower. They constructed wooden containers to carry all the soil, and large enough to be able to allow the roots to go as far as they needed to go. So they created an orchard. So we go to the orchard, you see dozens of wooden pots. Let me just use the word pots, okay, for ease and convenience right here. And they planted those trees in it. And I noticed that those trees were not as big as the trees that you find in the tropics. They're more like the size of shrubs, but they still produce the fruit. How was that possible, given that the winter months would come in? During the winter, you know, everything freezes up, and even the trees, all their leaves are gone, and the ones that cannot resist, they die out. Those that can resist, they shed all of their leaves. How did those orange trees survive? What they did was, those houses that they built, they'll have those orange trees pushed into the houses. They push them and store them into the houses to heat them, and they heated them during the winter so that they will survive. And guess what? The garden, in that garden where these oranges are still growing, I saw trees that are as old as 210 years, and there were other trees that were older, 350 years. So year after year, they did this exercise. See how much it cost them to be able to keep this. And now, those of us who are from the tropics, you are living there, they call you poor, right? They say you are poor, and you accept it. You better revise that whole appellation. Don't take on that label to yourself. All that you need in life, this is my view. If you have the soil, that you've owned a little piece of land, and the sun is hitting from the sun and reaching where you are. Think of how much sun we have back home in our own countries, in the tropics, wherever you find yourself, whether it's in the Caribbean, or it's in South America, or it's in Africa. You are rich. Do you know you are rich? Do you know how rich you are? I tell my stories to inspire you. I tell my stories to help you to reject titles that were there to make you feel like, you know what, you are just down there. You know something? Take those labels off. Wherever you are in the world now knows that the trade by barter that existed in those days is the same thing that is going on these days. People come and I buy from you what you have, and you buy from me what I have. So it's an exchange. Even though the money is there to help to facilitate this exchange, this is still bartering, you know. So we have all these things. Let's find out our own riches. I keep saying and I keep singing, I love that song so much. Count your blessings. Count them every day and find out how you can transform, how you can enrich your own life, how you can benefit from it. You see, this is it. Did you know that did anybody ever tell you, you read it in a history book? Did anybody ever tell you in school that this is what is going on? So, like yourself, thank God. God is not a fool to have put people in different parts of the world, wherever you are born. Before you start looking for green pastures beyond your own continent, in the oceans, try first to embellish what you have. Try to cherish what you have. Make the best out of it, so that when you go abroad, you are also bringing something along with you. from this little story of an orange. I hope you've been inspired. And you know, I have my YouTube channel has the same name like my name, Mary Ngwebong Ngu. I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, I have a YouTube channel, and I post some videos there, short videos for you to learn something new, for us to realize how rich we are and how much we can be inspired by listening to each other. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also can you share my videos? Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story about the orange, the citrus fruits. I found out that they had bitter orange, they had other varieties of oranges, which botanists know better than myself right there. And so this is the length to which people are ready to go to get what you receive freely from nature. So count your blessings, have a good day, and enjoy. Subscribe again, I can't say it enough, and share my videos. You never know, something I bring to you can change your whole life. This is how we learn from each other. Thank you again. Have a good day. Bye-bye.